Welcome to Season 4, Episode 20 of the Film Bros Championship Podcast. I am Tim. With me is my co-host, Patrick. How you doing, buddy?
I'm ready for a little chit-chat.
Kind of figured you'd go with that one.
How could I not?
It is a often called upon one for you, for sure.
I love Assassin so much.
You do.
I'm pretty much the biggest fan of this movie that I know. I don't think there is another fan who loves this movie.
I think you might be right. I honestly don't know if I've ever talked about this movie with anyone else before. I still think to this day, fast approaching 40 for me, I don't think I have ever talked about this movie with anyone else but you, still. Maybe mom. I don't know.
I'm not sorry. I love this movie.
And sorry, I'm not sorry.
Amazing. I'm not sorry.
It's fun. It's a fun movie. I
love Assassins.
It's gonna be high for me. I don't know if I'm on the same level as you with this movie, but it's good. And I think you're right. The number one reason why it's good is Antonio Banderas is a freaking star.
Yes, he is.
And it's
my highest scores for this movie.
Get more, to be honest.
Well, after this he gets his Oro, so it's not like he did.
Yeah, I know, but then he does kind of.
This comes out the same year as Desperate. Well, yeah, I mean, there were some bad decisions made. Hollywood was very angry about X versus Severus, but he also was a guy who he wasn't interested in doing just action movies too.
True.
And he has some late era stuff that's very cool, and he still does the Spanish language movies occasionally, and those are just
and really I think the second Zorro didn't do well, right? I never saw it.
I couldn't do it. The reviews were so bad, and I was like, I don't want to ruin my memory of how amazing the first Zorro is.
Yeah, exactly, because the first one is amazingly good.
It's a perfect movie.
Yeah, so he's done a lot of great movies. So it's just weird that he did have this little era where, man, he was churning out some great stuff.
Yeah, the late 90s were for Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, and this movie really shows off how much fun he can be. Was he ever really a villain besides this movie? I'm trying to remember. He could not have been a villain very often.
It depends on how you think of Interview with the Vampire, I suppose.
I guess that's kind of true. Very small bit that he's very memorable.
Wasn't he? He was a bad guy in Uncharted.
Okay.
Uncharted movie. Yeah. He might have been the bad guy in the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, but I didn't watch that one.
Didn't watch.
Yeah.
So regardless, not often.
Not often enough. I mean, just my dude.
He's cooking. He's cooking in this movie.
Yeah. He's Puss in Boots.
In Boots. Did you still haven't watched The Last Wish one, have you?
No, I have not watched any of the Puss in Boots movies.
You can skip all of them, but that movie.
I know.
It's amazing how wait a minute, what? Because I hated the first one.
Right.
And I like Shrek too. And then I'm watching this one, I was like, geez, this is getting an emotional reaction from you. What is happening?
Antonio Banderas always gets an emotional reaction out of me, so
yeah. It's also too. It's like him and Selma Hayek again. You're like, this, yes.
Is she also a cat?
Yes.
Oh,
I know.
That makes me happy.
Why? Where are you?
Yeah.
I know. But anyway, so this is your pick.
Yeah,
It
Assassins.
had to be. I kept saying it all season. Basically, anything I was like, there's a movie that has to be your pick, and this is what I was talking about.
Professional hitman Robert Rath wants to fulfill a few contracts before retiring, but unscrupulous, ambitious newcomer hitman Miguel Bain keeps killing Rath's targets.
Because he wants to be number one.
Number one!
He's kind of doing his own almost Joker type thing, right?
I literally write down, there's a scene where he goes complete Joker, and I'm like,
yeah. just I'm going for it. I'm gonna chew it all up, and
oh boy, does he ever!
I am in this for the chaos, basically.
Yeah,
and it's fun.
All right, so shall we begin?
Let's do it, man. Yeah.
So our hero is Robert Rath.
You can't say it any other way.
It's difficult. I'm going to try to not. We'll try.
To be fair, I think his name is mostly said by him. So
Well, I love like it later on when he tells his name to Julianne Moore's character, Electra. Well, no, she tells more Julianne Moore's character, and she's like, "Okay, well, I'm Electra then."
yeah, yeah. I guess
That's
they
such a hilarious made up name. And
it's
they
a
admit it,
nice
like, yeah, it's a
thing
fake
at the
name.
end of the movie where they both tell each other, they introduce each other to what their real names are.
Yeah, I'm actually Joseph. Well, Joseph, I'm Anna. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. You know what? I'm glad that he's Robert Rath. It's a more fun name than Joseph. Joe.
Yeah. Well, it's just so much more fun to hear Antonio Banderas. I could hear Antonio Banderas read the yellow pages, so it doesn't matter, right? So
Exactly right. I mean, the Flonase commercials alone have
I
my heart
know,
forever.
right? It's kind of like the Michael K skit where he just had what's his name? The radio broadcaster for years that's retiring or retired.
You talking about the guy for the Dodgers?
No, for the Yankees. God, why can't I think of his
Oh,
name? Thank
John
you.
Sterling.
Sterling. They just had John Sterling just read a grocery list
Okay.
on broadcasts. This is
Really?
like, yeah, just because they're like, I can hear him say anything, and I love it. And it was great. It was really funny to hear John Sterling just like green beans, like he's just doing his whole thing. It's just fun.
All right. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
All right. So Robert Rath, see,
yeah. You
played
said
by
it normal. Yeah,
played by Sylvester Stallone, an assassin for hire, but he has principles and will refuse jobs he finds unsavory. So he's our nice guy killer for hire.
yeah, sure.
The movie probably beats us over the head with this idea a bit too much.
Yeah,
Sure, he kills people, but he's really a big softy underneath.
got to root for him, you know.
Exactly.
But it's always weird because he's like, all right, send it over, you know.
I literally make fun of that in like two
And
sentences
it's
later.
only pictures that are ever sent to him.
I'm assuming there's more, but then like,
But yeah, I'm wondering like, where's the rest of the information coming? How are you choosing this job? Because it's like, this looks like an evil face. Sure, I'll kill this person. Like, how are we deciding this?
yeah. Um. So the first scene in the movie is he's bringing a fellow assassin out into the swamp to kill him,
Mm.
and he's
It's in
moved
the
by how.
trailer.
Yeah, it is. It's a
Just a
really
nice
bad
little bit.
trailer.
Yeah,
Never
it's a
watch it.
bad trailer.
It's,
Yeah.
I figured out why this movie bombed. It's a bad
I
trailer.
was like setting up to my notes, and before I clicked play, after I rented it, and it was playing the trailer, I was like, "Ugh." But it has the old school trailer voice too at the same
Well,
time, so
that
it
part's
was kind
fine,
of
but it's
fun.
like, why is this pace so slow and terrible? I don't.
Yeah,
This is not
they
exciting.
haven't quite figured out trailer stuff yet, I guess. You know,
No, it's the same year as the GoldenEye trailer.
you're
It's
right.
ridiculous.
I'm wrong. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. So he's bringing this guy out to the swamp who's also an assassin, and he's like moved by how distraught the guy is about going out like a mark. So he
Hmm.
offers him a gun with a single bullet so he can kill himself. Nice guy.
Yeah, to the chamber. You'll
Yeah.
be all right.
Yeah.
I like in that moment too. There's a moment where the Mark, who's the assassin Mark or whatever, right? I can't remember if he stumbles or he goes to fix his shoe,
Yeah.
and he's such an overprepared dude. They really show this right on, right? That he's,
When I
I
first
didn't know
saw
what was
you, I didn't
going
know
on
you
with the
were.
boots,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and then like so he's like, but he's very well dressed. He's got these boots on, so he planned this out, right? But then as soon as he does that little check shoe thing, like it's an interesting actress that I really liked from Stallone in this moment where he almost like stumbles back with his gun up, like he's like,
Like, is he trying something?
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I have to be prepared for this, and I was not quite predicting this at this point. So it was a nice, I don't know, it was a nice little moment that I think said a lot about the character in that moment.
See, a lot of the critics thought that Stallone was bad in this movie and boring. I thought he was actually very good for him. I think this is an understated performance, and people weren't prepared for it.
Yeah.
It appears more boring just because you're playing against Antonio Banderas, who's giving like everything,
It's really
and he
hard to
needs to
play
be
with
that
that.
juxtaposition at the same time. I think it's a good performance. It's a very mature performance. He also gets to be a little more like funny too than this movie. There are certain lines he gives off that I'm like tuna fish.
Yeah.
Just the way he says tuna fish is like, that's delightful. I don't
I
know
really
why.
enjoyed too just the subtle where he, I don't know, tricks the right word, but tricks the hotel
Yeah,
maintenance dude to go off, and then he's just like, all right, let's take a look around at the computer, and he's eating a banana while he's
he
doing it.
stole the maintenance guy's banana.
Yeah,
Not that nice a guy. That
that
was
was
rude.
mean, very rude. But I enjoyed that moment. there's a lot of subtle choices that I really enjoyed.
Hmm.
Um, to be honest, I feel like it's probably him trying to put this in where he can. And I'm wondering if it was the script that didn't allow this character to be a little bit more interesting. Because to be honest, I feel like they're really withholding even with the interesting backstory here that they're somewhat trying to give, right? So like you get the gist that he was the young hotshot
Right.
assassin at one point, and he got, I guess, was friends and got a lot of help from this top Russian assassin who I guess was KGB in
Right.
the era that this was
I'm
happening
curious
in.
to see how close friends they were because like we exchanged games through the obituaries. We were playing chess through the
Chess.
obituaries in
Yeah.
the New York Times. I'm like, and you were close?
Yeah. So does that mean that it must imply that at some point Stallone's character was CIA or something or American government and the other
He
dude was
identifies
KGB?
himself at first as a government contractor.
Yeah,
So possible? I don't know.
maybe.
But I don't think it's
Because they
important either.
clearly say the that dude was KGB or whatever at some
Right. The
point, right?
Cold War
Because
was
that
ending and I had to
right.
get out.
So anyway, so they have this whole thing, right? And then for whatever reason, he ends up killing his friend.
To be number one.
Well, that's is
That's,
that why he did it? We don't ex
he didn't
because
deny it when Miguel
it's
accused him of it.
very
So I go with, yeah.
subtle where he's like he regrets that he did it,
Right.
and there's something there, but like nothing, none of that is ever unpacked or anything like that. That's like the one thing I'm
Well, here's the thing. So this
I would
movie
have
was
needed more.
written by the Wachowskis,
Oh wow, okay, I didn't know that.
and they brought in Brian Hegeland to rewrite it to make
Okay,
it a little bit more commercial. So from the gist that I've gotten is that the stuff that you're looking for was in the original Wachowskis script,
okay,
and Brian was like, "We don't actually need this. We need to get this thing moving because the pace is dying. If we're gonna, get strangled in backstory here."
sure.
Uh, so
I
the
just
Wachowskis didn't take too kindly to it and wanted their names off the movie, and they're like, "Nah,
hmm.
this is still basically your story. Sorry."
Because I think if anything, that's the part that's holding me back, hero wise, scoring wise. That kind of part of it is just
I
that
like
that
the
it's missing.
mysteriousness. I don't need everything spelled out to me, and I like being able to
I just feel
infer
like
and
it would
guess
have
and
made
stuff.
it make more sense,
I was never
a little
confused
bit.
though.
No, but like I don't know, it just didn't make sense to me that they were either very much the same and he's just a grown up now, or they're not exactly the same and there was a reason why he did this and what happened to make him. I don't know, like I just needed more here, especially if you want to flesh out the hero here. It's not a very well fleshed out hero.
I like the ambiguousness of it. I just
Okay.
do. But let's talk really quick about because you mentioned it before, the way Stallone is dressed throughout this movie.
Yeah.
He's got lots of sweater vests and loose-fitting slacks, like he's ready to fill in for Mr. Rogers at a moment's notice. It is a wild choice for an assassin.
Yeah. It's interesting. Very well buttoned up. Like he's the I guess again, he's the veteran pro, right? He's
Right, but like I've never
all
seen so many sweater vests, tie sweater vests on a
yeah.
action star. It's like what?
I mean,
This is
it's
weird.
so weird when you first kind of see him post assassinating the assassin. Like he's in a small hotel room and he's sitting on like an end table that's weirdly, awkwardly moved to be in front of a window
Yeah,
that he's sitting on. It's just
yeah.
like that's not supposed to be there. But anyway, he like stands up
Well, you
and
want to
like
be a sad boy and stare out the window in the rain.
yeah,
This is what
sure.
everyone in Seattle does. So it's not. It's
It
a
took me a little
pastime.
bit to be like, oh, we are in Seattle to the monorail. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, the and then he sits
it's
down
what
at
they
his
do in the Pacific
computer and he's
Northwest.
got like the espresso and like the little fancy mug thing, and you're like, okay, this guy's a bit more proper, like he's a bit more
Yeah, he's refined.
yeah,
He's yeah, yeah,
I've
man
been
of taste. So,
around.
but Robert has grown, like you said, he's He lives in the Pacific Northwest, we guess. He just stares out the window in the rain all day. So he's grown tired of this life. He's ready to retire. And later, we learn most of this weirdness comes from guilt after assassinating his fellow assassin, Nikolai,
Yeah.
15 years ago. So he could be the number one assassin. Uh,
Or so we might think that's the reason.
he
We
doesn't
don't
deny it.
actually know.
He doesn't deny it.
Okay.
I'm not sure how guilty he really is, considering all his handler has to do to keep him in the game is offer him more money. He's like, I'm
Yeah.
out. And here's a contract for $200,000.
It
Fine,
is
I'm in.
interesting thing
And then
to
he's like, I'm out. Well, here's a contract for $2 million. Damn it, I'm in.
yeah, because it's like you have to like it's a good thing to actually have subtitles on. So you could like read the computer, but read the subtitles of what he's whispering, which is not what he's typing. Like so it's just like two different things you're having to follow at the same time. So I'm like, thank God I got subtitles on so I could read both.
I'm glad you mentioned that. It was in my little miscellaneous bit. So let me just scroll down real quick so I can talk about this. It
Okay.
made me laugh. So Robert has to enter an access code on his laptop, and the screen shows him entering numbers, but we see Stallone's hand on the keyboard in screen, and we can see he's typing just random letters. He's in the middle of this keyboard. It's so obvious. That's like, don't put his hand in the screen if you're not going to tell him to put in the numbers. This is bad.
Boy.
So there's my nitpick for the movie, which is great. Um, more evidence of good guy assassin. Wrath gets the idea to steal a cab to find fellow assassin Miguel. So he bumps a cab with his car and is apologetic about it. Hands the cabbie a wad of cash. Apologizes to the cab driver, and then knocks him out
Just knocks him out, yeah.
because he's a good guy assassin. I'm going to
Sure.
steal your cab. I'm going to do untold amounts of damage, but here's a wad of cash. Sorry.
Who knows if it's the right amount of cash? Did he leave it in his hand? Did he let him keep that wad of cash? I don't know. We cut pretty quick after that, but sure.
Oh, more insane Stallone behavior. So there's a scene where Electra and Robert are both enjoying Andy's candies, which should say something about them as being characters of good values, because Andy's candies are delicious. But
For the
watching
after 8 minutes,
Stallone,
but okay.
watching Stallone needing 3 bites for his Andy's candy is fucking psychotic.
That's all he's allowed
I was thinking it's
to
like
keep those guns.
I was thinking of him for Cobra, like with him, like cutting off the pizza crust. Like, okay, so this is his version of that. He's taking 3 bites out of an Andy's candy, which is like what, like an inch long?
What's sad is like it looked like almost like he should be crying on the ground too, because he's like, isn't he like on the ground in the hotel room with his little like towel pillow, and
Yeah,
he's like he's curled up like like oh
why?
why did I have to kill Nikolai?
It's not like he has like a lot of dialogue to deliver, so he can't chew
Yeah.
a lot of Andy's candy. He's like, just pop it in your mouth, baby. It's just
Yeah.
it's it. So later on, Wrath confesses to Elektra that he always hoped that someone would take him out the way he took Nikolai out, but that changed when he met her. But then it turns out
But
that she's not
she
there.
already
She snuck
left,
out
yeah.
to experience the Day of the Dead festival. Um,
Yeah, what did you feel about the romance-ish thing that
that's another
they
thing that
got here?
Hegelin more or less cut out of the movie.
Okay.
There was supposed to be a full-on sex scene as they shot it and everything. There was supposed to be a lot more going on with the romance.
You
And then,
think
like,
because
we don't need
Stallone
all of
typically
this.
doesn't shy away from any of that, like I'm just remembering the specialist, like he's okay to do that kind of stuff. So I was kind of surprised, like, is there a romance here? I guess there is. Okay. Are they just partners? Do they like each other? Like it was just weird.
Yeah, so like that scene after the Day of the Dead festival where he saves her, everything, there's supposed to be a big old sex scene and everything.
Yeah. I
But
think they just have them waking up the next day. Like you get like the gist that they might have been in the same bed.
right, and he gives her a little smooch.
Yeah.
But like
Which to me, when he gives her the smooch, I'm like, wait, what happened?
this is one of those times where Stallone doesn't have like full creative control of everything because he's working with Richard Donner.
Mm,
And like so like Stallone can normally like for instance I don't even know the guy who directed the specialist. It's like I just
yeah.
looked at the name like do I know this person? No. So he'd be like yeah, I'm gonna bang Sharon Stone in the shower for like 2 minutes and you're gonna film it. It's gonna be hot. And Richard Donner would be like, yeah, kid, I made Superman and the Lethal Weapon. We're gonna do what I want to do. So
Yeah. We don't need any of that.
yeah. But by the way, I want to shout out my liberal lion, Richard Donner, who has like an anti-NRA sticker on the side of a bus
I noticed that. Yeah.
and a right to choose T-shirt on a waitress
Yeah.
later
Well,
on.
and he does the whole like spray painting on the woman's coat thing too for the
Yeah, it's like,
fur,
yeah,
the
Dick
anti-fur
Donner,
thing.
super
And it's
liberal. Love
funny
that
on the
guy.
NRA poster too, is like right when our villain loses his gun. So it's kind of funny.
He's getting smacked into the bus.
We'll
So,
talk more about that one. That's nice.
yes, we will. So, um, I have my, I really do think this is a good performance for Stallone. But it's not like a great character. I'm not going to go insane. So I gave
Yeah.
him a 3.5.
Let me just double check because my mouse died on me. 1 second. There we go.
Oh no.
I know, it's like right when I need to scroll. I also went 3.5.
There you go. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right. So, spoiler alert, I gave this next category a 5. And if you didn't, I'm going to drive over to your house and smack you.
Get ready.
You
Oh,
son of,
like
you son of a bitch.
I'm sorry, I didn't. I didn't, but I'll get it all like ready to go. I'll put some Vaseline on it so it
I'm
doesn't
not
hurt
going
that
to hold
bad.
back. Yeah, I'm going to really fucking slap you.
Wow, this is hurtful.
Yeah. All right.
I'm sorry. It's not like it's not gonna be high. Christ.
I'm going to just lower my virtuosity score again in retaliation.
To be fair, I think in the final episode I will too, so it's okay.
Ah! All right, so our villain is Miguel Bain, played
Miguel
by Antonio
Bay.
Banderas, and god damn it, he's great in this movie.
He's a lot of fun. I mean, he is a bit one note, and all he wants to do is be number one, and that's it.
I
And
love that note. I could have had another 2 hours of that note.
yeah, that, and I don't exactly understand. I don't know. Like, I mean, clearly he didn't like the handler guy that much, but like, it just would seem weird. While all of a sudden, is like, all right, yeah, sure, I'll take this guy out with you before he turns back on our hero. So, like, all of that was just weird to me. And the one noteness is why I'm not going five.
It's because you're stupid. Uh,
Different movie, great line, and there's a lot of good lines in this one too. So I'll
yes,
just
there
put it
are.
there. Okay.
So Miguel is an up and coming assassin who is Robert Rath's #1 fan.
What's the age difference here?
Between Banderas and Stallone?
Yeah,
I
I would
don't
have.
know.
I
Would
was.
you
I
like
was
me to look
curious if
that
you
up?
looked that up because I was like looking at us. I'm like, he's supposed to be the young hotshot guy, and Stallone's the old vet. Like, is there that big of an age gap?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Stallone, born in, where are you going to say? In this movie, he is 49 years old.
Wow.
Stallone. Yeah, this is him at his best plastic surgery of his career.
Dude is
Uh,
aged well. You got to give it to him.
and yeah, nice, very nice surgery. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Got money for it, Why not?
sure. And Banderas was 35.
Okay. Fair enough. But he's not like that much of a kid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
You
know.
know,
Like,
listen, at my work, I am still considered the kid to a lot of people.
that's fair.
I am 41 years old.
That's fair. But
And because
still,
they've known me since if you are older than the other person, you just automatic if you knew them as a younger person or whatever, you automatically assume like they're a kid.
yeah.
It's infuriating, I know.
No, I get
But
it. I just feel like for the purpose of this movie, as much as he's amazing, like it would have made slightly more sense for him to be a
but
little
you also got
younger.
to
But
remember he is, he's 35 years old, Antonio Banderas, but that's his actual age. He can pass for much younger.
he's always got such like he's not a baby faced dude. Like he's got a
Depends on how close he wants that shave.
he's yeah, exactly. He's got the facial hair going. He's a very not that he's like overly muscular, but he's a very macho kind of dude. Like he's not a kid. Like you're
No.
looking at him like that dude's a man.
Right. So yeah, he's Robert Rath's #1 fan, but he also wants to kill him so he can become the #1 assassin in the game. So at one point, Robert steals a cab and goes looking to trick Miguel and pick him up for his getaway ride to the airport. And Rath finds him, strikes up a conversation with Miguel, and points out he has a cut on his head. Miguel shrugs it off, like, "Oh, accident work." And he's like, "Well, what kind of work do you do?" He's like, "Look, I am, how do you say, dead tired. So let's save the chit chat for someone else, please." And That's
Well,
like the
right.
first time, not the last time my man will say chit chat, and it's like,
Sure. Well,
I love it so
yeah, it
much.
comes back in flashback humor. But I love even in the first time you see him in the cemetery, right? And he's getting, and we don't have to go into the action part of it, but he's getting like shot at. And this is kind of, it gave me like a Heath Ledger Joker vibe and in that moment because he's getting shot at. He's like, "Ooh, ha, 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 ha," and he's like laughing about it. It's like this guy is a maniac.
There's a scene in the cab where I'm like, he goes full Joker, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
So Miguel figures out who Robert is, and they pull their guns on each other, but they're separated by bulletproof glass. And that's where he tells Robert, like, I'm a big fan. I even switched his handgun to Robert's silenced Ruger 22.
Mm.
I had to look up the difference between a Ruger and a Luger, by the way. They are. I was like, did you say that wrong? Do you mean Luger? They look the same. I was like, no, Ruger and a Luger, different guns. Just,
We're not gun people.
no, I'm not a gun person, but I thought it was interesting to learn.
Yeah, sure.
Um, so Rat seems amused by Miguel, but he talks down to him too. He calls him Miguelito,
Yeah.
which just means like little Miguel. So that's like,
Yeah.
and that's kind of sets off Miguel and tells him to drive. He's like, we'll get acquainted. Chit chat.
But I love where I don't think this counts as action, right? Because he knows.
Well, yeah, Robert would prefer to sit. So Miguel lowers his window and shoots a soccer ball and threatens a kid in the
Yeah,
his
because he
neck.
knows that because he studied him, right? He knows that his issues with doing the right thing,
No
basically, even though
innocence.
he's
Yeah.
innocence, right? No innocence, right? And he's like, number 13 looks real tired.
Maybe
And
she
then
needs a rest.
yeah,
Drive, 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 drive,
drive,
drive, drive, drive,
drive,
drive.
drive, 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 drive,
Yeah.
drive, 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 drive. And he just keeps repeating it. And it's just and then he drives and he gives a little laugh and it's like, oh, this is great.
And the
It's so good.
faces, all the faces that Banderas is putting on throughout, oh,
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
And that's where Miguel chastises Robert for being antiquated. He's like, antiquado, for his no killing the innocent rule.
Yeah.
He tells me that you could have killed me in the graveyard, but Robert would have had to kill some innocent cops to do it.
Yep.
Um, and then
That's when he
this is
tells him the
where,
whole bishop takes
well,
rook
before
pawn
that,
thing.
this is where Miguel takes a shot at Robert with a sniper rifle at the bulletproof glass,
Mm.
and that's where he gives the Joker laugh. He's just like, sorry, I had to try.
You never know,
Maybe
right?
the glass
Like,
wasn't made in America.
right.
But yeah, he goes full Heath Ledger, Cesar Romero, all Jack
He
Nicholson,
just
all
starts
over.
laughing as soon as he
Yeah,
shoots.
yeah, it's so great.
And I have to admit too, in that moment, Stallone does give like a "what the hell is the matter with you" look too on him,
Yeah,
which I do. It's another nice subtle moment from Stallone.
yeah. Uh, and that's where Miguel points out the Roman general Flavius was killed at his brother's funeral. So that's where he got the idea to kill Branch's brother at that funeral. So he killed Branch's brother to draw Branch to that funeral so he could take him out there.
Mm.
Proud of me, Bubby. Second best utterance of Bobby in movie history. I think Kurtwood Smith in RoboCop is still the king, but this is like
Yeah.
number two, I think.
Can you fly, Bobby?
Um, After Miguel kills all the Interpol agents posing as Dutch buyers, Elektra overhears something
Are
and
you
knows
gonna have a note on that later
was what for which part.
on the Interpol agents?
I
Or
don't
which
really have a
you
note
know?
on it, but we can talk about it later if you want.
Okay, because
We
I
get
hadn't
into
looked this.
Elektra.
I didn't look into it, so I was assuming you would have already. So because I could have sworn one of those Interpol agents is Steve Gutenberg.
No, it's not Steve Gutenberg.
Are you sure?
Yeah, yeah.
You looked into it?
I didn't look into it, but I would have
Oh,
noticed Steve
those.
Gutenberg in the cast.
Okay, I'm pretty.
They were all German and they were speaking German, which
No,
is funny because they were all like
there was
Dutch.
one there was like a couple like kissing on the up against the door in the hallway or whatever like that. I'm pretty positive that dude was Steve Gutenberg. They didn't speak anything.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Uh, all right. Um, and so Electra's like overhears something. She's like, no, someone to ask for someone to tell her what's going on. And Miguel says, please complete the transmission.
Yeah, he's like
And
speaking into the thing.
yeah, and Electra doesn't recognize his voice and deletes all the work and raging Miguel. It's like, honey, I'm gonna tear your heart out. It's so good.
It's a great too because there's a callback to it later.
Oh, he's
Where
just yelling, I'm still gonna tear your heart out.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And later on, he knows like Wrath is in the room, and he starts talking to Wrath. And he's like, "Did you kill her?" A woman? It's not the same as killing a man. You have to pull the trigger a different way. Come on, do it. Pull the trigger. Be professional. Do it. Do it. Do it. And then Robert fires, but it's of course not at her. And he's like, ooh. It's so good. And then I love another great Miguel. Miguel goes through her room after she's ran away with Robert and finds Electra's pictures of Pearl and is now able to track her down where she lives. Like, thank you, pussycat. Didn't find Gutenberg, did you?
I don't want to distract from the podcast too much. I'm not done looking.
Okay. It'd be faster just to go to Gutenberg and look in his
That's what I
1995.
did, but sometimes they're uncredited, so
They still pop up on IMDb usually. Anyway, so Jennifer runs in. The Electra's neighbor Jennifer runs in, and Miguel assumes she's Electra and demands the disc. Jennifer runs
now
away. Miguel
is that
kills her.
what's her name from the OC?
That is Kiki Cohen. Yes,
Okay. At
Kelly
least I got
Rowland.
something.
There you go. I was going to mention her in supporting characters as a special shout out, but yeah, that's her. It's Kiki Cohen.
California.
Um, and that's where like so after Miguel kills Jennifer, thinking that's Electra, that's where he starts bragging to Roberts. I beat you to the buyers, and now I beat you to the mark. I'm sorry, but I'm thinking I picked the wrong guy to be my hero. And then like Wrath shoots at him, and Miguel ducks, recovers. Ooh, macho, macho. Ooh. You know, today is my birthday. Today I become number one.
Yeah, which
I love it so
is
much.
another good Stallone kiss off line, I got to admit to
Yeah.
happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
asshole.
asshole. Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's nice.
And then I love Miguel recovering in the bath. He contacts the contractor. Miguel says he killed the buyers and the mark, but Wrath has the disc. And contractor says the contractor's been reassigned. And Miguel responds with, fuck you. And then just keeps on repeating it over and over again. He's just like, that's no way to
Well,
talk to a lady.
well, yeah, there's that first, right? That's no way to talk to a lady, and he kind of goes, I don't care. And then he just continues to type
Fuck
it
you,
and
fuck you.
yell it at the same time. Like
Yeah.
it's like cool. I also love where he tracks them down to the Caribbean or whatever.
Ooh, before that, we
Oh,
have the
okay.
epic Banderas GIF reaction when he receives the contract to kill Robert Rath.
Oh yeah.
There's
Well,
the Tik-
yeah, you're right.
and
Because
there's the
then it's
TikTok. We just did that at the same time. It was
you're
great.
right. Yeah, and then like he does the because the guy comes back to him. This is after the fuck you, right? And then he's basically say
Say
please because
please.
he
Yeah.
just knows it. Like you need
Say
me.
please.
Yeah, and the guy's like please, please.
And then he gets the picture of Stallone, which where was that
Yeah,
picture from? What
I
movie was
don't
that
know. It's
Stallone?
a
That
wild
was I was
picture.
like,
Yeah,
that's from the early 80s, the 70s? I don't know.
yeah. I don't. Maybe yeah. Maybe when he's a
It's
government
not
contractor.
Cobra.
I
I'm
don't
not just trying to figure out which Stallone
know.
movie that was. It's post Rocky, but I can't.
Back in his friendship with Nikolai.
It's like, is that a Rocky 3
It's the
picture?
only picture I got, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So yeah,
So yeah, he
get the
falls into the Caribbean, and there's several things that are fun here.
Mhm.
One, I want to love and eat fruit the way this man does
Oh yeah, he
throughout
loves those apricots.
almost the whole time throughout this thing. He how he takes a bite out of him, how he's like throwing him around and catching him. Like I just love all of that. Um, all of that is a lot of fun. And then I really like how he just like uh, so I like this part, but it confuses me. So I don't know if he's playing like
You're talking
he's
about when he's at the festival, aren't you?
yes. So
Yeah, it
he's
infuriated me at first too, and then I figured out what was going on at the end of it. It was like,
so he's
all
trying to
right.
be undercover and act like he doesn't know Spanish when he clearly has been speaking Spanish off and on throughout the entire movie
Plus he's
and
Antonio
does so again
Banderas.
afterwards.
So here's why he was doing what he's doing because it
Okay.
confused and infuriated me at first too. I'm like,
It's weird because I enjoyed the scene, but
why
it
he did? He
sucks you
wanted to
out.
make sure they didn't speak English because he wanted to brag in front of them
Hmm.
about how good he was. Like, I'm going to speak in English and like, I'm going to do something really great. I'm gonna kill some people and I'm really impressive and I want to make sure you don't understand me, and I thought I can't get in any trouble because I'm like,
Okay.
so, yeah, he goes up to these
Because he's
vendors at the
like
festival,
shouting it though. So it's like he's like laughing it up.
right? But like, he's like, what's the word? Cerveza? I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, no. It's like right when he
Oh,
says
beer. What?
cerveza in that way, it's like, dude, no Spanish.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's why I did. I wrote it down too because I was really confused and infuriated at first, and then when I figured it out at the end, I'm like, okay, all right, that's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
it's
I get it
weird.
now.
But
It
then
is
he's
weird.
like, he's
It's
going
off-putting at first.
around the festival because he's like, he kind of gets intuition, but then he's like, Jasmine. And then he's like looking around like a crazy man, which I kind of dig. And then he sees the flower and he's like, oh, Jasmine, it's kind of everywhere. And that makes
Yeah,
him go away.
he
But I
he
like this. Like, it's a nice moment. Like, it's
yeah
actually
he
nice.
checked out Electra's perfume in her apartment and smelled jasmine. So whenever he smells jasmine, he thinks it's her. My man has the olfactory senses of Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden smells jasmine in this graveyard. But then, like you said, he sees the plants. Like, oh, okay, it's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Well, I kind of took it as like I feel like there's something behind me, and then goes and then smells jasmine. That's my own headcanon, how I take it. I don't think it
Right.
was like I smelled jasmine right away. But yeah, I still like, as much as there was like some weird things going on in that scene, he sells it, so it still
What did you think of my
works.
man's sweat game? He sweats like Patrick Ewing in the fourth quarter of a playoff game.
Yeah, they all are, to be honest. All of their outfits, they're all like, you even see at one point, especially when he Stallone takes his jacket off or whatever, like he's got the most giant pit stains, like going down
I think
almost
he's the
entire
only
shirt.
one with pit stains or any kind of sweat stains in the movie, which is so funny
I think
because
it's
like
the
Ben
ill-fitting, like it's like you pick the worst color and type of cloth to put him in to show that
like
off.
Banderas is wearing this like white shirt, so it should really be
Yeah,
flying through. When he goes to the bank, he's all sweaty all over his face, but there's
yeah.
nothing on his shirt whatsoever. It's a clean shirt. It's like we that shouldn't be.
But man,
We're
does he look cool.
Tim and I are professional sweaters. We know
Yeah,
what it's like to be in that kind
wholeheartedly.
of heat.
Yep.
And poor guy spills his own pee all over himself. That was rough. I loved his reaction to it. He's like, it's not of so great.
It's a definitely a nice moment of him kind of like freaking out, because they do this, like, I know because I was there, he's going to be feeling this and everything, and they kind of preload that information before it happens, and then they still kind of hit you over the head with it that this is what's going to be going on.
Right.
So, but it's still him selling it like every step of the way. You know what I mean? Like that could have gone badly. Um, Especially how you pre-sold what was going to happen and then still saying what's happening, like that could have gone bad. But him and his charisma and just being so much like electric fun, it still sells
I
every
like
second
this.
of it.
I like Stallone's character getting kind of pissed off that he waited 4 more minutes than he did.
Yeah, it's a
Ah,
quick thing. It's a
damn.
quick anger, but it's a nice moment of him being like, oh
He beat
man,
me.
yeah. There's still that competitiveness to it. I don't have a five. I'm sorry. I gave it a four. So it's not like I went too much worse there.
I don't even know who you are anymore.
He's a lot of fun. I just don't think,
He's so fun. He's the most entertaining part of this movie in a very
without a
entertaining
doubt.
movie, and he's a physical threat to the to our hero.
You're
A good
right.
physical threat. What else do you want?
Ah, I just want a little bit more dimension to this villain. I don't even know if he's necessarily the villain technically.
He's the villain.
He
Like, don't give it to
technically
Nikolai. Nikolai's like a like this. Nikolai's one of the stupider parts of this movie. This like
Yeah, I hate that this was thrown in, to be
we're just
honest.
like throwing this in at the very last second. Oh, Nikolai's
It
alive. Like
was not
who,
even necessary to throw
who
this in
gives
at
a
the
shit?
end.
We haven't been seen this guy the whole time.
Yeah,
That's not
it
interesting.
it was like,
And
what's a twist?
it lets Stallone's character off the hook again for like the one shitty thing he does this movie as an assassin.
Yeah, and it's a bummer. So it goes in the category of villain. So there's some nits here as much as he's awesome. So I
No
still
more
think
chit chat.
four is pretty darn high. It's still pretty good. He still goes down as one of the best villains of the season, without a doubt.
Uh, Action.
Action.
My lowest ranked category of this movie.
It still does all right, but yeah, it's not well paced action wise
No.
at all. So that's the issue.
So, first off, oh no, Rat's $200,000 job is to kill Captain Murphy from the Lethal Weapon movies. Because it's a Richard Donner movie, Captain Murphy is here. He's always here. Uh, Wrath is going with the fake bandaged arm with the secret gun trick to take out Captain Murphy. Actually,
Nice
evil
tape.
billionaire Alan Branch in this. As he sneaks into a funeral grave site, but he's beaten to the punch by Miguel with the quietest sniper rifle known to man. I mean, just absurdly quiet.
I know, but you didn't bat an eye when you were younger when all sniper rifles were quiet because that was the gist. But you find out the lie later in life.
But like the only one who noticed was like Robert because he's staring right at the guy as it happens. Like,
Yeah, because
and
even
like
like the priest is the one that alerts
the,
everybody. Oh my
yeah, the
God,
priest suddenly looks up and he's like, "Oh!"
he's already dead with bullet
Like
wounds.
the
Where did
two
they come from?
bodyguards standing right next to him had no idea. He just got
Yeah,
two in the
well
chest.
paid bodyguards. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. And I think too, it's a point to there's a decent chunk here that's already happened in this movie before we get to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone at the funeral goes running, but Wrath chases Miguel, who's disguised as a groundskeeper, and takes a
Hmm.
few shots at him with his I don't know what do you call it? Bandage gun, his cat's
He's
gun.
got a
It's like a
what do
fake
you,
stump on his like
yeah,
arm.
it's a cast that has a bullet or not a bullet, a hole in it, so he has his own silenced pistol in it.
Right,
Which the one thing I kind of enjoy is like he's mad that this guy has taken his mark and he wants this guy, so if he can't kill him he's also going to cause the police to go after him too by because nobody can figure out where his bullets are coming from. So
right.
it's weird, like he's running and chasing but like still being nonchalant as everybody's running screaming. He's like no 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 shooting some more to get the
Not it's
police
not
alerted.
quite John Wick 2,
Yeah,
but yeah.
it's still
Um,
fun.
so Miguel grabs a sniper rifle, kills a couple of bodyguards who are chasing after him, but Wrath keeps shooting at him. Eventually, the cops come, and Miguel gives himself up.
And
But he
again, it's
seems
still this is where you get
Miguel
the
is more amused than worried. Yeah.
like he's still having fun here.
So in the cop car, Miguel dislocates his thumb and gets out of the cuffs, kicks out the backside window, and reaches over to the driver's side and snaps the cop's neck with one hand.
Yeah.
Very convenient. The cop had his window down.
Yeah. Worked out.
The other cop grabs the wheel and flips the car. Miguel gets out and goes into the front and steals the sniper rifle back, which
Yep.
the cops are just like playing with in the front.
Yeah. And he uses that sniper rifle as like the cop car in front of them is spinning around to come back
Yeah,
towards their crash car, and he uses it to perfectly take two shots to take out the cop driving and the passenger cop as they're coming at boredom. And he gets out real quick as the cop who's driving is still alive goes ah, and the cop car smashes into him.
sounds like a very effective villain. Maybe one worthy of a five, Tim.
Oh Christ!
Anyway, then he takes off his coveralls that he was wearing for his
If
groundskeeper
I go
disguise, and he's
up,
got a
by
suit
the
underneath it.
way, in villain, it's because I'm taking away from this category.
That's fine with me. I have a
Okay.
lower rating for this category. I told you.
Okay.
Uh, Miguel's had enough of Robert in the cab and breaks his side window. He loves doing that.
Yeah.
And shoots out the front passenger window and tries to kill Robert by hanging out of the car and pointing his gun in. Robert shoots back and tries to rub the cab into other cars and eventually gets Miguel up against a bus with the anti-NRA
I
sticker.
really like this scene.
It's
It's a
good.
lot of fun. It's cool because it looks really well done, well practically done. Like just see him just smashed against this like
He's
truck
like,
with
oh,
yeah, exactly.
it's,
It's like it almost seems like it's Jackie Chan, but not, you
it's
know.
exactly who I was going to name check.
Yep.
So then Wrath tries to get Miguel to tell him who his contract is, and Miguel drops the rifle and gets getting hit against the bus a few more times. Miguel is back in the cab back seat and laughing at Robert. He's like, "You blew it! I'm still alive!" He's like, "Not for long." But then Robert pulls over to kill Miguel, but then the cops are coming, so he has to get back in the cab and moving. And then Miguel's having the time of his life in the back seat with Wrath trying to get clear of the cops. And he admits he studied everything Robert ever did.
Although there's also some backseat driving from him. What are you doing? Don't go down that way. Go this way. Like there's still some of that too, which is fun.
Yeah. Um, and he's like, God damn it, you were good. You and the Russian, Nikolai Telinkov. I can't remember how he says Tashnikov. And Miguel says the rumor is Tashnikov was living on a Greek island, but he knows the two used to play chess in Times obituaries. He went through 10 miles of microfilm, but he found it. The last game ends before anyone wins. And he knows that Robert killed him to be number one.
Number one.
Bishop takes rook pawn. And that's when Miguel jumps out of the cab, leaving Robert to figure out his own escape. And Robert pulls into the cab home base where there are many identical cabs, and Robert just like gets into a different cab and goes away.
Somehow, yeah. Like even there's helicopters and everything.
We don't got him.
Yeah. I also, he does a nice little roll under the truck too, to evade. So yeah. It was one of the better action sequences for sure.
Then you have the fight in the apartment, and Wrath unhooks the gas line to the stove. And he didn't even have to move the stove. That was very convenient. It's just right there next to it. And then he starts pouring liquor on the floor and then lights a match. Happy birthday, asshole.
Yeah, he no eventually realizes what's happening, picks up a table and holds
It's like
it
a
in front
card
of him.
table. It's the thinnest little table
Yeah,
in the
he
world.
really should just you're dead. But totally, it really did look like or you lost all your fingers trying to hold the table. But
Right?
regardless, he gets launched out the window,
Yeah.
which was nice. I liked it.
What does he fall? Like 3 stories?
Yeah, it looked like about yeah.
But he like lands on a hill and like rolls down.
And then
So
somehow conveniently rolls under one of the cars
yeah, so
because
like
Robert
Robert
comes
can't see
back
him.
to yeah,
Yeah.
and you know what? Yeah, I still liked it.
It's an explosion. It's a
I
nice
could
explosion.
I could lose a lot of what happened before that moment. Like it's a lot of them
Cat and
kind of
mouse trying to figure out
yeah,
where everyone is. Yeah.
exactly, and two innocent people die, and that's about. I mean, I do like where he kills the abusive guy.
He's
And you
not abusive. He just yells. And he
there's
comes. I
some
don't think he hits
subtle.
her.
I don't know. He kind of like throws her onto a bed at one point and yells
Oh,
at her.
okay.
I don't know about like
That's not good.
how physical abuse it was, but it was definitely not a great situation there.
Well, he was real sorry. He got
Regardless,
her a gift, and he died for it.
yeah.
It looked like a
Anyway,
really shitty necklace. He got her.
yeah. So anyway, I like where he's like immediately like trying to be apologetic. Oh, honey, and then it's like I forget what he says. He's some like just immediately shoots him like, no, not my honey or something. Like he's just like,
Yeah,
it's like all right, I'm not your
yeah.
honey.
So Wrath offers Elektra $1 million to help him with the disc for money exchange. Wrath makes the exchange on a stop on the monorail with Elektra following in a car behind. After he
Mhm.
has the money, Robert hits the emergency stop and opens a door and jumps out on a support beam for the monorail.
Yeah,
Jumps onto the next building from there.
yeah,
And very cool. There's definitely a human being doing that stunt.
I liked it. Yeah, very quick, but I
Uh,
liked it.
yeah, Elektra picks him up after getting in the car. Wrath notices that the briefcase is reacting to Elektra's car radio. And Wrath panics, telling her to drive fast. Pull over into the alley. And Wrath dumps the briefcase into a dumpster and they drive away just in time before the dumpster explodes.
It's a big one.
Like a 3-story tall firebomb.
I mean, the explosion in the apartment was good too. So
This
it's
is
like,
much better.
yeah, I agree. This was even bigger. I really like this one. I'm just saying, there's two solid explosions, and I do like explosions.
I know you do.
I do.
Uh, oh yeah. So the next bit that I wrote down happens much later. So earlier in the movie, Robert gives Elektra a gun and asks her, like, you ever play Cowboys and Indians? You know, you just gotta point and shoot. And
She was always
pretend.
the Indian.
She was always the Indian.
Yeah.
This is like, this time just be a cowboy. Just pretend he'll get up afterwards. So Wrath is leaving the bank. Miguel notices the two-way radio in Wrath's ear and then smells Jasmine as he knows Elektra is in the room with him. And Elektra uses the gun that Wrath gave her, to shoot Miguel in the back. She's like, howdy. I thought it was really cool. And then he gets shot like at least twice, I think, and like in the back, and he's running away at the same time.
At least, yeah, I don't know if about twice, but definitely
At
gets
least
hit.
once, yeah.
He definitely gets hit because that was like a whole thing later where he's dripping blood and that alerted Robert. Like,
That's the next part afterwards. Really
no, I
cool.
know that's how you
Yeah,
know he got hit, is what I'm saying.
right.
Yeah. So yeah, he definitely got hit in that moment. And what's weird to me is like I'm still not quite sure how she got out of the hole.
I'm not sure either.
I like because they really like she's stuck because like she's trying to get he hid the gun up high. It's not where Robert said it was going to be, and she eventually finds it up high, and she slips or whatever and falls basically, like in a money pit situation where
Yeah,
she's just stuck in the floor, and she's just stuck for like a good part of the movie for like the whole time that he runs over, which I do love that interaction between the two of them in the bank.
it
And
is
she's
really
just
cool.
stuck in the hole, and like he comes back, she's still stuck in the hole. And then all of a sudden he's about to take the shot or whatever, and then she's like out of the hole.
Howdy.
Like I'm like, wait a minute.
No, she's still in the hole when she takes the shot.
But she had to have gotten enough out of the hole because she's like almost on top of the chair to say howdy.
Well, she just like she had like that mattress on top of her to hide,
Right,
and then
which
she
is
just
another
pushes
thing.
the
How did she
mattress
get the
off, and she's like,
mattress? But
well, she put it.
she's way too far to high up to be. There's some math that's not mathing.
Well, the math doesn't work. Is that is her getting out of it afterwards? Like, well, wait a minute, how'd she get out now?
Yeah, I have no
It's,
idea how any of that made any sense, but it's
it's
okay.
fine. It's fun. So Wrath runs across the street to save Elektra. Elektra tries to toss Wrath a gun, but fucks it up.
Yeah,
But is able to get a shot off with the rifle that she has from him because he dropped the rifle when he shot her in the back. When she shot him in the back, to give some cover to get to her. Miguel tries hiding up in the rafter, but he bleeds on Wrath, alerting him. So Wrath shoots him, and he gets
did
shot.
he
But then
get hit or
he
did he
does.
just not get back from it?
He gets hit, and then the rafters collapse, and Miguel falls to the main floor. Like he
False.
falls like 2 floors
At least
down, and then
somebody
that
falls in this,
collapse, and he
right?
goes down again. It's
It
cool.
looks like it's like 3 floors. It eventually goes down
Well,
by
it's
the
like
end.
it's 2 floors at first, and then like
Yeah.
he's like level, stays for a couple seconds, and then that falls down. The whole
Yeah.
floor
It's
collapse. Like that
nice.
was
It's a
cool.
nice little moment. Yeah.
And then Nikolai appears and
That's a
tells Wrath to
bummer.
throw away his gun. Nikolai confesses he wore a vest, knowing Wrath would go for the heart. So predictable. Nikolai wanted to disappear after the Cold War and set up a new life. Something on the disc would have exposed him, exposed them all, but Nikolai most of all.
Right.
Then thought, presumed dead Miguel signals Wrath, and both of them team up to kill Nikolai.
Again, which I don't know why.
I well, obviously, because I think he confesses that he wanted Miguel had to die no matter what. So if
Does he?
overhearing that, I think so. I know he says like
Maybe. I mean, you might be right. I'm like, I don't.
so it's probably enough for Miguel to be like, yeah, fuck this
They
guy
didn't
too.
do a good enough job of making that ring through, maybe, or
No,
I
this
need
whole
another
thing is so
rewatch.
tacked on and silly.
Yeah.
It's always rubbed me the wrong way.
It really didn't need any of the Nikolai stuff. Like, it just didn't need it.
It just didn't need this part of the Nikolai. It should have
Right.
just
I wanted more backstory explanation.
no. I did not want more backstory explanation. I
No,
wanted
I
Nikolai just
did.
to be dead after he kills him.
Even if it was like here's a backstory that gives explanation and action at the same time because this movie needed a little bit more. Two birds, one stone. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure where there's a will, there's a way. There's a way to do it. I don't know. Like it's just there was something lacking here, and it was weird at the end.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Then Miguel crawls over to Nikolai's body, gives him one more shot to make sure he's dead this time,
I'm
and then
gonna do what you couldn't or you
yeah,
didn't do or whatever.
tosses the bullet clip to Wrath and asks him to help him up.
Yeah.
Wrath helps Miguel up, and Wrath promises he's retiring. Miguel's number one now, and he's like, "I can live
Number
with that. Can
one.
you?" Miguel says, Absolutely." And as soon as Wrath turns around, Miguel reveals that he palmed a bullet and loads the chamber. Says, "You know, as long as you're out there, I'll never be number one." So I want to say goodbye, Bobby. And Elektra puts on her sunglasses so Wrath can see his reflection, and he shoots him dead, like through his jacket. Uh, yeah.
That was
The
dumb.
end of the action. I didn't mind that.
That was
Uh,
dumb. That was a little dumb with the sunglasses, but I felt like it was kind of the era at the same time
Still
too.
feels kind of like a lucky shot to be able to like just like yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
think I
totally.
got this baggy jacket.
He's wearing baggy jackets and everything throughout the
Yeah,
movie.
that he put back on, right? That was off at some point. So when did it get back on too? I'm confused, but
God, you're right.
yeah.
Uh, I gave this a 2.5.
Oh wow. Okay. Uh,
The action's just not that great in this movie. It's a lot of pew pews, which is
it
fun.
is
It's the actors do a great job and make this movie
right.
watchable. The action does not hold up in any way. I don't think. Not really. It's just fine. The action never gets above fine for me.
Um. Okay. I'm gonna agree with you. I mean, I do think there's moments of good stuff here. Like I really do like the taxi cab, almost everything in taxi cab. I really dig.
Right. That's a good scene.
Um, but I think in the end you're right. So what I'm gonna do here, because I think I had it as I'm gonna take a whole point from action and I'm gonna move it to villain. So there you go. Villain's gonna go to a
Number one.
5. And then if that goes a whole point, so then it's 2.5 at action.
There we go.
So now we're tied. Which basically we're still going the same score wise
Yeah,
so
but I
far.
get
I
my
just
Miguel
I
number
just
five.
shifted it around. You're right. I think you're right action wise. Although I think there were some still pretty nice explosions. There was some,
Yeah,
it hurts a little bit to go
but
a
like
little that low for this movie, but
no, but it's the actors who are so good that like carry this whole thing. Like compare this the action in this movie to
yeah.
like even say Fair Game. Fair Game is way better action in this movie.
You might be right. And again,
I
even
think
in
so.
that in the taxi towards truck thing that he's like again, it's him kind of making that even better. In terms of just making that better. So okay,
Yeah. All
I'll
right.
go with you. I'll go with you.
Supporting characters. We only got one in this movie.
Got one. That's it. Yeah, that's done.
Electra, played by Julianne Moore. God, she's really good in this movie. Security expert hacker with major boundary issues. She has
Sure.
her entire building rigged with cameras with audio in every apartment where she can spy on all her neighbors like they're soap operas she can watch.
Yeah.
Also a
It's
little too close to her
a
cat, Pearl.
little creepy.
Yeah.
A little bit.
She's smart about her business, though. Keeps things professional and times her calls with a stopwatch to prevent call tracing.
Right. Because
Uh,
there's just no like nobody that was like part of their contract too. Was like nobody she's a ghost. Like nobody knows.
right. She apparently has spray paint at the ready in case she sees someone in a fur coat. She does a weird hissing noise, so the people in the elevator don't question the noise of the spray paint after. But I
Yeah, I like that touch.
don't know how they didn't smell it.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Maybe she kept it
You
real.
ever
No,
notice how
still
when
would
someone
smell
works
it.
with spray paint, they're usually wearing a mask of some kind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It only excuses away one part of it, but it's okay. At least they made, justification to do that one part at least.
Sure. I
More than most.
Wrath and Electra check into a motel, and
Yeah.
Pearl goes over to Wrath's lap, and to Electra's dismay, he's like, "She likes me." It's like she
Oh
likes
yeah.
dead fish too.
It's
And
okay. I was gonna ask you because I figured you'd bring that up. Like I missed what she's like. She likes this too, but I
dead
missed what
fish.
that was. So there you go. Thank you. That clears that
Um,
one up. See,
so
sometimes I don't have to rewind. I just know that you're gonna.
I'm here for your brother. With Pearl on his lap, Electra grabs Robert's gun, which he left laying on the coffee table between them, and Robert is like nonplussed, which confuses Electra. He's like, "Was it not loaded? It's loaded."
Yeah.
And Robert tells Pearl that he thinks Electra is scared that she'll hit her, so Robert like puts Pearl down. And Electra shoots the gun at the lamp and complains that today was supposed to be a payday, $40,000. He was going to buy Pearl a boyfriend. Electra says she has no social security number, no driver's license. She can barely remember her real name. She just wants to disappear with $40,000.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Rat says he found her anyway, and so can Miguel. So Electra shoots the painting behind Robert in frustration.
She must have amounted to something before this for that to make sense,
All
but
right,
sure.
I'm like, boy, I hope she
It
got something
looks
more
like
squared
sounds like
away.
she's been at because they almost kind of got the
She says
vibe
she was the
too.
best.
Yeah, that maybe she's been former CIA type operative type stuff too in the past or something.
Something in security.
Yeah, something. So
So after the whole disc money exchange uh, kaflooey, Wrath is bummed out. No money, no disc. But Electra's smiling because she wasn't sure Wrath is actually coming back. So this morning she switched the discs. And it's just all they got was a list of the file names. They got Bupkis, Zero, Zilch, Zot, Nix, Nada, Dry Hump, Squirt, Diddly Squat. I enjoyed that.
I this is where it's Julianne Moore
Yeah, so charming.
can take something of nothing into something because imagine so many other actresses or actors trying that line and it being cringe. And when she does it, it's charming is all
So
heck.
charming.
You know
She's
what I mean?
so
So that's
charming in
just
this
like
movie.
there's like I can probably lose count of the amount of people that could have tried that and you would have been like, ugh.
Yeah.
So whether it was the
Uh,
writing or her ad-libbing, hats off.
so Wrath contacts his contractor after, the double cross and now demands $20 million for the disc. Contractor agrees and says it will take 2 days to transfer. Lecter confirms with Wrath that they're partners and they shake on it. And he's like, that's 10 million apiece. 8 million. The bank takes 20%. Man, I thought I was a thief.
Yeah.
What'd you think of her joke?
This is another one I was going to ask you about
Okay, go ahead.
because I totally missed part of this joke. So
You missed the joke?
I got the setup and I feel like I missed the punchline.
Okay, so the bird, right?
Okay. Yeah, go for it. Just like because I'm like,
Bird is flying
what did I
around
miss? Because I'm like,
and
what?
it gets cold, falls down, and freezes. And then a cow shits on it, and he warms up, and he's so happy to be warm and free again, and he starts singing. And then a cat comes over, pulls him out of the shit, and eats him. And it's just like the moral of the story is not everyone who shits on you is your enemy, but um, your enemy, and not everyone who pulls you out of shit is your friend. But it's best just to keep. And if you're warm and happy, it's best just to keep your damn mouth shut.
Oh, I get it now. I think I missed the cat part.
Ah,
Okay.
I don't think it's a very good joke, but Stallone seems to enjoy it quite a bit.
Stallone looks
I
like he legitimately thought it was funny, like he didn't know
I
what the
wonder
joke
if
was.
someone. I don't think that couldn't have been the joke that they told Stallone, right? They must have
Yeah,
told him something else,
like a
like
dirty
something.
joke or something.
If it's Stallone, I would think it would be
Right,
right.
yeah. Who knows? Because again, yeah, they're not in the same scene, so it's not like it had a
Exactly,
joke.
exactly.
So,
I gave her a 3.5. Uh,
that's actually what I gave her.
well, look at that. We're
We had
completely
the same
tied.
score again.
Hey,
Yeah,
I pulled you to it.
well, to be honest, again, my score didn't change. I just shifted my
Yeah,
action category over.
right,
So,
but I made you exactly where you should be.
oh,
You got
regardless.
right. You got right.
Well, it's a, I gave it a 14 and a half
So did I. Yep.
overall. So that's where I have it. And so right now, I have it under the Quick and the Dead, above Rumble in the Bronx.
So will I.
And okay. And again, I will most likely, there we go, shift virtuosity at some point.
Good. Yeah, let's just bring that down.
We'll see where and how far I bring it down.
Okay.
But yeah, wow, we actually basically have it almost exactly the same. Almost. I
So,
think I have it sixth, you have it fifth. But again, I'm moving
yeah.
virtuosity around. So otherwise we're looking pretty close to the same almost.
Hmm. So you
We
ready to play?
still, yeah, there it is. Okay, sorry.
You ready
Stepping
to
on
play
your
America's favorite
toes.
game?
Body mass
Body
alone.
mass alone.
I don't want to have conversations anymore about dudes' physiques.
Dennis,
And whether
in
they can.
body mass alone.
That's what I was trying to avoid. A conversation about body mass.
So Stallone has still got the guns, but they're not allowed to really
Yeah.
show him off in this movie because he's wearing such bulky clothes.
Yeah, I mean there's some t-shirts that he's wearing at times where you can see that he's got guns, but they're really not showing off his body.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I kind of thought I was similar to Judge
Dredd.
Dredd.
Yeah, he's still in Judge Dredd shape, but he's not allowed to show it off. So the body mass is there, but you can't really see it.
Yeah, because even in Judge Dredd,
Banderas.
at least he gets the spaghetti straps a couple of times.
Right, yeah.
But in this one, it's never. It's just sleeves. You can see the guns. So,
Yeah, and
but honestly,
Banderas
I
is
don't remember what it
shirtless, but
was.
like
In
it's
a
all like
tub,
yeah, but he's like never. You don't really see a lot even
and
still.
he's like beat up in
Right.
the
I
tub, which
do
I thought was a
appreciate they
nice
actually gave him some
touch.
bruises and everything
Yeah,
after
like
the
he like
explosion.
yeah, exactly. He took some hits. Like he's hurting a little bit.
Right, and Julianne Moore is completely covered up throughout the movie, which is
Yeah.
too bad because she's not a stranger to nudity.
Yeah.
So I give this a 3.
That's fair. I actually went 4, but
Yeah, it's fair too.
okay.
I mean, like he's got body mass, no doubt about
Yeah,
it.
he's still muscular, and as much as
He's
Antonio
our biggest dude of the
Banderas,
season.
without a doubt, yeah,
Yeah,
without a doubt, he's got the most body mass. It's just he doesn't really show it off much at this point in his career, I guess.
yeah. It's no cliffhanger. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
so couldn't help but notice at least one of the Dutch buyers has a ponytail, and it feels like that was mandatory for European characters in the 90s. At least one, if you have a bunch of European characters, one of them must have a ponytail.
Dutch buyers slash Interpol.
Okay, yeah. What was confusing for this for you?
No, that wasn't confusing.
Oh, I thought you said there was something confusing for you with the Interpol
No,
thing.
I could have sworn that one person was Steve Gutenberg.
Oh, that's it. Okay, yeah.
That was
All right.
it. No, it was
All
very
right.
clear that they were all Interpol. I mean,
Yeah.
it was interesting how like Antonio Banderas is like basically slowly uncovering that they're all Interpol, and uncovers another group of
Interpol.
people he killed. Oh, Interpol again, like okay, and like
Interpol.
you have Stallone's character being like, well, the only way that any of this makes sense is if they're CIA or Interpol.
Yeah, they didn't. The news didn't have the shooting out at the hotel. It's like that would only not be on the news if it was CIA or Interpol.
Right. So it's like it's interesting that they're both
Which I
they
still movies have not explained to me exactly what Interpol ever does and what their jurisdiction
yeah,
is.
I
I've never
swear
quite understood it.
when Interpol pops up in was it Ghost Protocol?
Does it pop up in Ghost Protocol? I don't remember what popped up in
Yeah, I
Ghost
think the
Protocol.
Russian dude is Interpol, isn't he Interpol? He's not actually Russian, he's Interpol. Isn't that
Is
what it
it?
was?
Well, we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. It might have been too long, but I swear I thought that was Interpol, and I want to be like, wow, I
Right.
haven't seen or heard of Interpol in something in a while.
It's
Like
like this movie and Ocean's 12 is like the only time I remember Interpol. I'm like,
I feel like there was like a phase in like the 2000s or something where all of a sudden Interpol started popping up and then just vanished.
right.
Like no one brought him up again in action movies.
Yeah, like what did he do?
Like we brought this group in for a little bit and now they're gone. Like what happened?
Like a European police agency that like what is it? I don't
That's the
understand.
vibe I got from it, but yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
don't know. So this movie had a budget of $50 million, which is a little over $103.5 million today, and the worldwide gross of a little over 83.3 million, which would equal about $172.5 million today. So it lost money because if you
Yeah,
figure $50 million budget, advertising it would be about 100 million. So,
yeah,
but probably broke even with VHS rentals and stuff afterwards.
yeah.
Uh, Debuted at number 2, losing to 7 in its second week of release. The other new
Mm.
releases that week were Dead Presidents, which is a good movie,
Still never
which came in at
seen
number
it.
3. It's good, Lorenz. It's good.
That's what I hear.
Sad. And then How
I
to Make
remember
an
loving
American.
the trailer, by the way.
That's a great
It's a
trailer.
good trailer, and I just
See,
never
another
stood
great
it.
trailer,
You're right.
1995. Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
How to Make an American Quilt came in at number 5 that
Yeah.
week. Yeah. Richard Donner defended the movie since he thought both actors gave a fantastic performance, and he's still really proud of it, which I agreed with. Then later on, apparently, he said like it might have been more commercial if he had switched the roles, like wouldn't have been as good.
Yeah, no, not at all.
No,
I
wouldn't have been as good.
Stallone's got an avenue, and he can be fun, but I don't know about that.
Have we ever seen Stallone as the villain? Villain?
I mean, that's a even better question
I
than
guess yeah, he did in
maybe with
that
Banderas.
Spy Kids 3, right? He was the villain in that. But other than that,
I barely watched all Spy
I
Kids.
never saw the third Spy Kids movie either. I'm just saying I know he's the villain in it.
You might be right.
That's all I can think
Gosh,
of.
Stallone bad guy movie. What's that comedy movie he did? He's technically playing a gangster. It's technically bad, but
Get
still a good
Carter? What are
guy.
you talking about?
No, I was gonna say the comedy one you always liked.
Oscar?
Yeah, there you go.
Not a bad guy in Oscar. He's a good guy in Oscar.
Sure, he's still playing a gangster, but
Yeah, but
sure.
he wants to get out of it. He wants to
You're
go straight.
right. I know. I'm struggling. That's what I'm getting at. I'm struggling to think of
I do like
one.
Oscar.
I know you too. You're like that's another one. Like you, this movie
Yeah,
and Assassins.
it's just me. Yeah, it's like, hey, this is pretty good. You guys
I'm
are dicks.
alone on this island over here.
Yep.
Although I would have to rewatch Oscar, but
Yeah, so would
I enjoy.
Assassins is great.
I enjoyed
yeah.
this movie. Like it's not bad. It's not a bad movie. It's gonna obviously pretty high for us. It's gonna change for me eventually when I do some
Probably next
rearranging.
week.
But you have it at 5 and I have it at 6. So I mean it's within that top 5 range for both of us. So I mean it did pretty well this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are we watching next week, Tim?
I'm happy because I think this was appropriately should have been the last movie, because it is of a franchise that arguably
boom, boom,
is the greatest
hot time, someone
action movie of all
back
time.
of my neck getting dirty and gritty.
You know, I could just put that in post. You don't have to have that. But yeah, we're gonna do Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Woo!
Yeah, and it's a great movie. So I'm really excited. And again, sequel to one of the greatest action movies ever made. And it's arguably, I think, one of the greatest action sequels ever made. So I felt like it was appropriately should have been the last pick of the season. So the last movie we'll review this on is Die Hard with a Vengeance. Do we remember? Is that streaming? No, it's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
Yeah, cool. It is still on Hulu. Awesome.
But shame on you if you don't own the movie. I mean, really.
Oh, for sure. I have my copy that I'll be pulling out for sure.
Yeah, still on Hulu.
But in case you don't have your own copy, shame on you. It is on Hulu, and yeah, I'm excited. Another good trailer, by the way.
Great trailer.
Yeah, and again, I think they used that song to start that movie too, and the trailer, if I remember correctly.
Somebody had fun.
Somebody here had fun.
This is where Tim and I became our lover affair with Jeremy Irons. Like, who is this?
Yeah, probably. And this is going to be one that I'm sorry, it's probably going to get a perfect score, and it's going to be a real battle.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think so.
Be a really interesting wrap-up episode.
Because it was the first episode where we kind of was like, what do you think is gonna be number 1? And I was like, it might be Die Hard with a Vengeance. You're like, wait a minute, what? Like over Goldeneye? I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like I don't know. and I think these are the two ones that are gonna be duking it out.
Well, we know it's not gonna be Highlander 3.
That's for sure. But hey, give it to Highlander 3. It is not at the bottom. That is still top dog, everybody.
It's not great.
It's not good.
So, you got anything else?
That's it, man.
All right. Well, that is it for us. Please show support for the podcast by leaving a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, or wherever you happen to listen to the show. Also, sharing is caring. Be sure to follow us on social media to get the latest show updates. You can contact us by emailing at filmbrochamp@gmail.com or find us by searching for the hashtag FilmBroChamp. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Film Bros Championship Podcast. Peace out, everyone.
That's enough of the chit-chat.
Chit-chat. No more chit-chat.
No more chit-chat.